daughter of horror. Here is tense, taut, chilled-filled drama that shocks you with hair-raising horror. Not one word is spoken on the screen. The strangest motion picture you have ever seen. Daughter of Horror.
In case you were wondering what movie we were going to be showing next week, it's Daughter of Horror. And our special guest is going to be
Brett McCormick, the Texas-based director of The Abomination, who is one of my favorites ever. So, super excited. Yeah. So Brett picked that. Interviewed Brett a couple weeks ago, and he told me that is one of his favorite movies. So we were talking about what movie to watch, and he said, "Well, people really watch Daughter of Horror." I said, "They will. Come on, tell us why you love it." So yeah, 11 o'clock next week.
All right.
I'm glad everybody's excited. That's awesome. How do people like The Farmer?
Welcome back to Stolen Stitches.
Yeah.
Toddy and Dave, Danger Dave. They seem to be physically attached at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Oh, yes. Not closely. Yes, folks, you've seen the Rollerballer Blockhead. You've seen Mental Floss. Now, for our final feed tonight, the two are combined into one, as they should be. Together forever. Inside show.
That's really getting it together. Speaking of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Dun, 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 dun.
That was our first time doing that, so wasn't sure if it was going to work.
No,
that was cute.
Success.
I am so glad that you guys have been doing this shit live on the air tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we're happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Scooch a little closer.
Yeah.
How long have you been performing Sideshow, each of you?
Ah, gosh. Myself, probably close to about 10 years.
I've only been doing it for the past year and a half, 2 years. Although with being a drag entertainer, a lot of the choreography and stuff that I did was always usually very like stunt and prop oriented. And the look that I do, I've always sort of done the half lipstick, half mustache kind of thing. Like that was sort of like a staple. So I've always been very clown adjacent. So this just sort of seemed like the next logical step.
Yes. Yeah, and we had worked together periodically through shows for the years, and
almost as long as I've been doing stuff.
Yeah, and I had a show I needed somebody I knew on, and Claudette, our other show partner, was unavailable, and Toddy was the first person I could think of that would be a good fit for it, and it's kind of clicked from there.
Yeah, Dave was like, you only need to do whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to. You could just assist if you want to. You could be hands-on. It's fine. And he was just like, how do you feel about jumping and dancing across a lake of Legos instead of broken glass? And I'm like, count me in.
Mm-hmm.
That seems so painful.
It
It
is
is not fun. Honestly, we normally, during the haunt season, we normally work at a haunted house where we would do what I call a grind show. You do shows basically every 10 minutes. I had done walking on Legos the whole night. The next night I switched to glass. And I tell you, it was like stepping on a Tempur-Pedic bed. Such a difference.
Yeah. So speaking of walking on glass, how did we like The Farmer?
Oh, yes. That was...
I agree. Mike Justice said it reminded him of the Honeymoon Killers, just in that they're both indies that got studio distribution during this era. I think that's interesting. We talked a lot about it at the end before we came back. So there's a lot of, once we looked up some facts, a lot of stuff makes sense. There's one credit that makes everything make sense too.
And that is?
I will let our guests tell what the most important credit is.
Oh, the executive producer
Yeah.
of the movie, who is also the star of the movie. It is a delightful vanity project, and once you know that, the rest of the movie makes total sense. Yeah, it. I personally feel like some interesting choices were made. Like the movie was plenty competent, but it also it fell short in a lot of places too. Mostly, I'd say editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was edited very, very weird.
I wonder because if the director mostly worked in his career as an editor, was there some friction in the actual final edit between the editor and him of like because a lot of directors that started as editors often shoot for the edit. And do you know what I mean? He was like, this is not how I intended for this to be put together. Just wondering.
It feels like
especially
it.
that ending too. It felt like very like anticlimactic. Like this big building, it's like, oh, that was that guy. And it's like, yep, we're just gonna write some text.
And even
Yeah.
like the build up to the action, like that's not uncommon. There are so many horror and action, especially like revenge films, where you don't get all the good stuff until the last, what, 10, 20 minutes of the movie.
Which for that, I appreciate we were like 20 minutes in. How are you gonna do this? And they solved it pretty well. They did a nice job.
Yeah. But like the actual ramp up didn't make sense. Like the sequence of events leading up to it was very jumbled. Like the movie could have been started for like two very different reasons. And it's like they couldn't really make up their minds. Like how that, like how did we get there? How did we get to the good stuff?
Yeah. We even talked about too, it's like the idea of like the meet cute between the final killer and the farmer on the train. Like there's a lot of better ways that could have happened and maybe meant a little more. And like I like that just they had to be like, how do we get to link that? Like, oh, let's Shirley Temple. That's how we'll do it. And it's like, oh, okay, that seems a bit around the. I was gonna say a bit around the barn, but that's the worst fucking. You know what I'm saying?
So
You said that was ripped off of an EC comic.
Yeah. Well, there's one EC comic that actually why they left the comics code and quit doing comics because the whole story you don't realize that the astronaut's a black guy, and it's like the way that this was framed at the end is very 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 similar to that comic. Maybe just because I have EC on the brain because I've been writing up Tales from the Crypt episodes, but I just watched the abortive attempt to make another Tales from the Crypt that didn't work out. But yeah, it felt like it. But it felt I don't know. It would have been maybe even more interesting if that killer had been tracking him for a lot longer in the movie than just the last.
Right.
So in your opinion, or if you have any frame of reference to think if this is true or not, if you took out the very beginning of this movie and the last couple of shots, if you removed that, the rest of the film would make sense.
Yeah.
Do you think the whole framing of all of that was tacked on at the last minute?
I think it was honestly by the executive producer and star because he's like, hey, even though most of the killing I did was cheap killing, like I didn't kill anybody face to face, and even though I've been so laconic the whole movie, I'm basically a good person because I am not racist. So it gave him like, do you know what I mean? Like that's his one defining quality you can say because if also without that top scene, do we know that Gumshoe is black even though he's not played by an African American actor?
No,
like,
he is played. I was
you checked? Okay.
That. It wasn't Spain, it was Port of Spain, Trinidad.
But it's you might not know as well as
Yeah, it went from having that frame goes from I had one black friend to I have historically been nice to two black people.
He's very much one of those guys that will tell you all the black people that they're friends with. And you're like, yeah, that's cool. You don't have to specifically tell me the black people that you're friends with to know that you're a good person. But thank you for joining in. I'm glad that other people have read too many issues of weird science fantasy and as I did as a kid. So
Dan, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that during the movie.
Yeah.
Like, wow, the farmer almost seems incidental to all of this. Like
They could have made this movie with the gangster getting blinded and like kind of like, he became like a blind, he like a Zatoichi kind of killing machine. Do you know what I mean? And they could have made that movie just as easily. I think the one thing we can all agree on is that Angel Tompkins is fucking awesome. And
Love her.
we found out that she picked her own outfits and she designed the apron and the underwear. Her underwear, I think we can agree, the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought the
hate
highlight
how
of the
we had
movie
to
was
see some of it, but honestly, even that kind of made I don't want to say made the medicine go down easier because that's just phrasing. No, that's horrible. But no, she was a delight. All of her outfits were a delight. It was like the nice little ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
Like
amidst some of the bleakness.
This was originally a Clint Eastwood vehicle too, which that makes a lot of sense. I think Clint Eastwood also would have been like, "Hey, hold on, here's where the farmer." Like, it would have. He's one of those people that kind of takes a script in a movie and is like, "Here's where we should maybe play with this a bit and make it a little more, of a story."
Yeah, say what you want about Eastwood, but like the guy knows how to make a movie.
Yeah,
he's the kind of person who can make vanity projects work.
He's also a one-take guy, which is crazy because you see his movies and they're really, they're well put together. They're maybe not always the movie I want to see, but like The Gauntlet, I really like, and it's like, but he's like one take done. Like that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is impressive. Honestly.
Yeah, and then the other thing I thought was pretty crazy was the song that plays so many times in this movie, over and over and over. And maybe over again. The Gene Clark song, The American Dreamer, that was originally written for the documentary, The American Dreamer, about the making of Dennis Hopper's The Last Movie. So that song's about that we hear that's supposedly about the farmer is really about Dennis Hopper, which and the director of this movie was one of the many editors of The Last Movie, a movie that had like 20 editors because Dennis Hopper sat on it for like 3 years. And that one, if you see The American Dreamer, there's one scene where he literally has a film lid, which you know how big a film lid is to put film in, filled with cocaine, and he's just not even doing lines with it. He's just literally huffing out of the film lid. Dennis Hopper did drugs. I'm not making any controversial statements by saying that, but that song's about Dennis Hopper.
Now they got the rights to it. They're going to use it.
Yeah. Also, I like what Tracy said. It pissed her off. Someone else said it too, that the horse died. The horse had to die. Gumshoe had to die. And what's her name had to be raped in order for you to get behind the farmer, which that's I realize it's an exploitation movie and it's a revenge movie and there needs to be revenge to happen, but it felt like a lot of stuff for us to be like, okay, I believe in the farmer.
Not mentioned too, like even like the bank, and it's like, okay, that happened, that really sucks, and you already feel for him because it's like, yeah, banks suck. Then it's like, nope, all the other stuff too.
And not to like do the whole like women belonging to men kind of thing, but like in the context of the movie, like they were not that close. That was not his woman.
Well, I said before that all he had, the farmer just had to plow your field one time, and you were his. Like that's what it took. Like she came back the next night. She's like, I've been in the big city for years. This farmer.
Man,
and,
in peril of her life, she went back there.
And at the end, she has an apron on, and she's picking up chicken. She would have never picked the chicken up before. She didn't want to even be at that farm when she first got there 3 days ago.
We said this during the movie too.
Yeah.
Like, I hate in movies so much whenever you have a femme character who, again, wonderful outfits, the sexiest of lingerie, makeup, caked on, full of color and glitter, and at the end of the movie to show that she is a good, wonderful, pure-hearted woman. All that makeup is gone. I hate that.
The farmer saved her.
It's amazing that she was not coming to the farm. They were just out that night, like doing stuff, right? Like it wasn't like a planned seduction. She just came in to get some coffee, and like this is her regular out. Like this isn't her special lingerie. Her non-special lingerie is more special than
It's for
any
her.
any
Okay.
lingerie I've ever
Yes.
been gifted with, right?
She
Yes.
likes it.
Crazy.
Buy the lingerie for you.
Yeah, that's what she
Makes
was
her
doing,
feel
and I
good.
think that's why I wish her character was stronger throughout. Though she did really beat the shit out of that dude that was trying to assault
She
her.
wasn't
really,
gonna let him do that easily.
Yeah.
She beat the shit out of him.
I was this close to thinking the rape wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was that close. I was like, it's probably maybe.
Like,
I don't know. She's doing good, and that guy is like 80 pounds soaking wet.
She
Then
kept
you're like,
getting
well,
away
it's
from him.
1975 and an exploitation movie. Oh God, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah.
Mhm.
Bill mentioned too, she really does look period a lot of times. Like she can pass for someone from the 40s in this, I think.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
she has a good look.
There's just some subtle things about her that are of the 70s, but mainly I thought she looked very much like you see women what they look like in the 40s. I thought it was pretty convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Mike brought up that, the 70s were wild. Billy Jack has an assault scene that's PG. I really thought this was going to end like the Born Losers, where Billy Jack gets killed, and you're like, how did they bring back Billy Jack for 4 more movies? They did it. But also, and David brought up, I think that was all of our favorite part when the shotgun blast blew that dude flying. Like he had the
oh God.
It's like when they had the rope in The Exorcist and yanked her in that scene and broke her back.
Yeah.
Firing guns over their heads. Like that's what that scene looked like. Amazing.
No, I still think my favorite scene in the whole movie is when the farmer is like getting ready to do the revenge and the spotlight is on him and he has his glasses and the hat. He has that stogie. He takes a big drag, exhales, and he's looking at the guy about to get into his car, and they make eye contact. And the guy has his paper, sees what's going on, and just immediately starts walking away like nothing happened.
Like, whatever, nerd.
What did he think was going to happen? I don't know.
That's just it. Nothing. He's like, huh, nerd.
Well,
Right,
this movie
Farmer.
also,
Got it.
yeah.
this gets in a weird like anti-war thing too. Like when Johnny's giving him that voiceover of instructions, he's like, "This isn't a bullshit war." Like World War II wasn't necessarily a bullshit war compared to like later. It's not like he's like Korean or Vietnam. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or another
Yeah.
conflict.
I mean, if anything, that is the one war. You're like, no, there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
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 And it's
I
like,
don't
I
think
know that
anybody
we're
questioned
looking
that.
at through a 1975 post-Vietnam lens where we can't glorify soldiers as much. Do you know what I mean? Like I can see that, but it's just strange. Also, I want to drink on that fucking. With the exception of the Southern dudes playing Dixie, I don't want to hang out with them. But a train that has that kind of bar on it, amazing. Like how great is that?
That scene itself would just made me laugh so hard. Because like, all right, there's a fight breaking out. All right, boys, bring out the banjo. Boggy Mountain Breakdown.
No, they stopped the music while the dialogue was going, and then not even when the punch landed, the minute it was like cocked and leaving, banjo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Also-
timing.
David asked, was he putting rat poison in the shotgun shells? Yeah, that never came into. We don't like the shotgun blast was enough to kill anybody. The rat poison was just a little extra salt in the wound, I think.
Oh, there was also banjo playing in that scene on the train.
Yeah.
At the beginning when the guys were like singing Dixie and he goes into and they won't give him a beer. As soon as the fight breaks out, the banjo starts again.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's like these guys.
I thought you meant the shotgun scene.
Oh no.
I know that racism exists horribly, but it's like these guys just fought in the war. Like, was it? Maybe it was. I don't know, but it felt like we needed to get in this scene because, again, that's the scene where we established the farmer's cool. Everybody, don't worry.
Yeah.
Did you know that this was
stuff like
mostly
that.
gonna-
Nothing surprises me.
Yeah.
It was going to play in grindhouses when people. That was probably the other reason for this. They realized the theater was going to play in, and they're like, "We got to establish that the farmer's cool." And if he does that, also like he gets thrown. Bill said he gets thrown off a train, and they're helpful enough to go find his bag, which wasn't with him. Like they found it, and it just was right there. They were ready with his bag. Here it is.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're not going to take your shit. Here, you can have it.
Please, come on.
I want to make a movie about Gumshoe's life during the war when he had no farm. What did he do all day? Just sat around, played harmonica all day, waiting for the farmer to come back.
And like hanging out with that dog.
Yeah, and the
Like,
horse.
we went into this movie completely blind. At
Yeah.
the very beginning, when the guy was like coming back to the farm and getting off the train, and Gumshoe's dog goes away, the first thought I had was like, oh man, he's gonna get like hit by a car, he's going to get shot, like something bad's gonna happen to that dog. And then like no, like he Soldier Boy just comes back and the dog's wagging his tail behind him and
Yep.
Gumshoe's all happy and
I like that you said
he's
that
living his best life.
what 40 an hour of this movie was the Apple Dumpling Gang, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or any of those. Like the more you said it, I was like, this is like a live action Disney
It
movie.
feels
A
like
gang
a
that
live
couldn't shoot
action
straight.
Disney
Yeah.
movie. It does. Like the pacing of it, the way people are talking. We were talking about the music, and the guy behind it did background music for Gidget and the Partridge Family and the Monkeys. So it has like that real bouncy kind of feel to it. It's like if you took the first, I won't say hour, but like the first half hour of the movie, if you cleaned up some of the dialogue and like maybe took out a few of the beers, like
Yeah.
yeah, it felt like The Parent Trap.
I don't
The
also
Parent
understand
Trap.
what Johnny O's scam was with because we know he had walkie-talkies and that he was betting, but like how does a walkie-talkie influence a horse race? Unless he was hearing how they were scamming the other, but that was never really like super explained.
I assumed, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking about this more than the producers did,
Yeah, yeah.
that somebody was going to have a walkie-talkie on them and hang out with Puccini
Yeah.
while he was talking about doing the bets.
But
so
those
that
walkie-talkies were so big, how would you scam it? When they showed it in the back of the trunk, it was like it was gigantic. So you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm just here with my giant shoulder bag."
I
I understand. I think that's what we were supposed to be like. Oh, they heard it. They're walkie-talkies. That's how walkie-talkies work. This is a great foolproof plan for Johnny.
like I said, putting too much thought into it is putting more thought into it than what went into the movie.
Yeah, and Johnny is like, we are to believe that he has this great friendship with the farmer, but the farmer, he drunkenly almost burned down the farmer's farm. And like the farmer took his gun from, like there was a lot like tension between them. It wasn't like, I don't know, maybe like if you set up that like one day he woke up, saw the farmer doing his chores, and he's like, I'm used to people in my life that are criminals, and I'm in this world, and I try to be like I like the idea that he was like, he never did all the horrible things of being
Mhm.
he's much like movies where strippers never get naked. He's the gangster that never did anything bad. Right.
Yeah.
He only gambled. That's the only bad thing he ever did. And
And
like,
he makes a point to say that.
yeah, he's like,
The
I
whole
never ran
law.
dope. Yeah. And like, so if he saw the farmer and was like, oh, I don't have people in my life with this integrity, I'm going to have this weird oil and water relationship with this guy. But that, again, we're supposed to like, it's like a Marvel No Prize. We're supposed to like make it up in our head and be like, oh, yeah, that's why they're friends.
Yeah.
But we never see that scene. We just, they're supposed to think we do. I've
That's-
thought way too much about this fucking movie. Thank you.
I know. It's so, I don't know. I've kind of noticed with a lot of vanity projects that kind of happens. It's not that they've made a good movie. They've seen movies before, and they
Yeah.
know what the beats are supposed to be, and they almost make them in those films, and they
Yeah.
don't quite land. And that, like, considering everybody who's worked on this, like, has worked on movies before and in theory should have known better, didn't.
What are some of your favorite vanity projects?
Oh, let's see here. When you say favorite, do you mean like genuinely or to hate on?
I mean, either way, like that fascinates you, because I have one, but
That fascinates me.
yeah,
I can't say it. I have to think before I say it because I intentionally mispronounce it in my head. The Canadian film Get Even.
oh yeah,
I can't not think of it as Get Even.
Yeah.
That one almost immediately comes to mind because
Yeah.
that John DeHart did everything behind the scenes. Like he did the music, he directed it, he edited it, he starred in it. And again, it's very surreal. It's almost like watching somebody's dream.
Yeah.
I think the only person who might beat him in terms of vanity projects and being that surreal, like I've watched movies, but there's this filter on the ones that I make that have nothing to do with reality. Neil Breen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil Breen, 100%.
I watched 4 Neil Breen movies in the same 2 days, and
Oh my
No!
gosh, that is-
yeah, and
wow.
I don't.
Sam, are you okay?
Yeah, dude.
You deserve a medal for that.
My God.
Impressive.
Once you there is literally like a pre Neil Breen and post Neil Breen way of seeing movies, and like once you see them, you're like, I can't. It's almost like whenever you get like the Matrix pilled, right? Where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is like, oh, how would Neil Breen do this? The movie I was going to say is The Astrologer, because that's the ultimate vanity project. Have you guys seen that?
I don't think I
No,
have.
I don't think so.
It's made by an astrologer about himself, but it is not in the best light. He also took all 10 Moody Blues songs for the soundtrack and charged the Moody Blues for being in his movie. That's why you never get to see it.
What? How
Yeah, it has a scene where you see him get with his girlfriend and break up, set to a Moody Blues song that is one of the craziestly edited things. It's almost like a Mexican soap opera, but not. But my favorite part of the whole movie is there's a scene where he has spent all his money being an astrologer. This is like the third act of like The Jerk, where shit falls apart, and he has his like mansion, and he's showing his banker his house, and he has a window that opens up to the galaxy, and you can see all these planets inside it. And he goes, wow, he goes, that's really amazing. And it's never discussed again. Like everybody has one of those in their houses. That's the least crazy thing that happens in The Astrologer. Awesome.
There's another vanity project that I'm thinking of, and it's one of those weird, like, you don't know it's a vanity project unless you're looking really carefully at the credits. Soul Taker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vivian Schilling wrote that movie.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like those same things too. Like you kind of understand what like reincarnation or like reincarnation adjacent tropes should look like in a movie, but you forgot. Like you brought that in really early on and it just really doesn't come up.
My other favorite one is Flesh Eater, the Bill Hinsman movie, because he's like, I just want to touch younger women, and I've been married for 50 years. So what if we made a zombie movie where I got to touch boobs?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And the first time I watched it, I'm like, I don't like this movie at all. Subsequent watchings, I'm like, I really like this movie. Like I like it. He's just like kind of like, it's not great, but it's fun.
Yeah.
David's right though. Yeah, it is literally, hey, check out my cosmic window. There's a window with a black hole in it. Oh, there's only one copy that exists. Bill, the other thing I was going to say before we leave Vanity Projects, a rumor I heard today, because they spent $400 million to get the rights to The Exorcist. That means that Abby is free and that anybody can put out Abby now, because potentially the new rights owners could be like, yeah, we don't care. You could release Abby. If that's what it takes, if a stinking failure of a new Exorcist movie is what it takes to get Abby out, then I am 100% behind it. Anyway, that's my brain working.
I don't think that's true though, because
I don't think it is. But what if it was?
Well, I think the issue with Abby,
no,
there's no copyright issue with Abby anymore. Probably it's probably about the rights now, because that movie's been in limbo for so long, and like I think it was voluntarily pulled by American International Pictures just so Warner's wouldn't sue them. I don't think Warner's ever sued to get it out of theaters. I'm not sure. But I was thinking about vanity projects too. Have any of you seen Nocturna?
I know the name. I've not seen it.
It's a very gross vanity project by the film star Nye Bonet. She was sort of given carte blanche to make any kind of vehicle that she wanted for herself, and she sings on the soundtrack. Like she wrote the script, I'm pretty sure, or she had a story that she wanted to do. And it's really very bizarre. It's what happens when you give somebody that has no experience making movies and say, here, make something about yourself. And they do it. But it's brilliant, of course. I don't know why she was never a star. Also, Prince's movies are like the first thing probably that pop into my head about vanity projects, because like almost every single one of them was a vanity project, and especially
some had vanity in them too.
Yeah, no, they didn't have vanity in them. She was gonna be Apollonia's role, but she left.
Yeah, I know. It was just too easy of a joke. I'm sorry. It's not even a good joke.
I really like Under the Cherry Moon, which is the Prince movie nobody talks about. It's the one that he made in black and white, and it was sort of like a 40s style film.
They were all
go the easy low baller, The Room by Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's like
the wagon wheel of vanity projects, the one everybody knows.
Like if somebody didn't know what a vanity project was, like I would probably like list that as like a prime example.
New York Ninja is a good one too, because the same actor, he did like four different movies that are all pretty much sales jobs for his martial arts schools, and they are progressively weird. The director Renato Pacelli is another one who he got paid by a lot of his actors to be in his movies, and they would write the scripts and say, like the movie Mania was completely written for him, and the lead actor paid as long as he could be the protagonist. He paid for most of the film. So, but I'm all for that. I mean, whatever it takes to get a movie made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I guess just like putting it out there, vanity project doesn't necessarily mean bad movie. It's just that there's a lot that can go wrong if you're giving somebody too much
control.
Yeah.
Without any like kind of like pushback.
I think the Neil Breen ones are the best explanation, but also his movies are, even though are they good? They transcend the idea of good or bad, I would say.
Yeah, like they're not movies.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to remember who said this, but someone described his movies like watching somebody else's nightmare.
Yeah. And it's once you watch 4 in 2 days like I did, you get kind of Stockholm syndrome. You're like, oh, this trope is very warm blanket to me of like, he's one man against the world. And he's like, one of his movies is literally, he's going to wipe out the world unless the world gives him a reason not to.
Yeah.
And also there's
not Fateful Findings. That was Fateful Findings.
I also like the idea that when he was 7, he fell in love with a girl. This is
Pass Through. That was it.
Pass Through. Yeah.
Yes.
He has met a girl when he was 7. She was the love of his life, and she is going to find him again. How does this happen in 4 movies? Like at some point they start to blend together because so many of the ideas are very, the same.
Yeah.
But I enjoy them for what they are. I mean, they're strange. I guess Jodorowsky is not his films at least have other people, but they're close to it. You know what I mean? Like he stars in El Topo, directs it and writes it, and does almost everything else. And especially for Holy Mountain, he led people through 2 weeks of doing acid before they did the movie. They are kind of sort of vanity projects. They're just good. Maybe, or that's up to you and how you see his movies. But I think,
Bill,
Holy Mountain's definitely respectable. Is a good element. It's quite unique to say the least, but it's definitely out there. But at least it's like you said, it's well done in its own right.
I think we were talking about Glenn or Glenda.
Yeah.
And that was something that wasn't supposed to be a vanity project. that very quickly turned into one. But it's still a fantastic movie.
I love Glenn or Glenda. It's really kind of, yeah, it's kind of magic, actually, the way that it happened. Because, of course, somebody hired Ed Wood to make a movie about Christine Jorgensen.
Mhm.
Instead, he decided, no, this is going to be about me. I'm gonna tell the world who I am. It was very brave.
It is the bravest movie because, like, especially at the time it was made, like,
Oh yeah, I think
it's
the
crazy.
60s?
Yeah, I mean, you could go to jail for that kind of stuff, at the time that movie was made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, like that movie made so many other people feel okay to be themselves. Like I can like attest that that made me feel very comfortable. It was sort of like when I found out that that movie existed, it was great, but like the kind of things that like helped me embrace my own queerness was like The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh,
You
I
know?
love that movie.
Yeah. And
I love that
don't
movie
get me
so
wrong,
much.
Tu Wong Fu isn't bad, but it's one of those films where like you see it and you realize how long ago it was made. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's actually okay. Like we've always been here. Like we've always existed. And like someone actually took the time to be like, no, I'm like you. So that's one of the probably the few cases of like somebody commandeering a project and making it about themselves, but was actually a great thing that it happened.
Even if it did happen the way it did, because I mean, there's no denying it's like a super campy movie, especially with Bela Lugosi in the haunted house and everything. And you're like, what? Where is he coming from with this?
What?
But
Well, I think it's funny that we were taught in the past that these movies are horrible movies and he's the worst filmmaker ever. And it's like, yeah, he's not the best, but these aren't the worst movies ever made.
Oh no, by any means. Like, and honestly, too, like I really like appreciate him and love his work for as crappy as it was because the guy worked magic with such a shoestring budget, and would like go above and
Absolutely.
beyond to like. I remember I was reading his autobiography, and there was a scene where it was supposed to be raining outside, and he's on the roof of the car with a hose, just like spraying water on. Like he went and tried to help as much as he could, and like with whatever budget he had, he didn't care. He'd make it work. And like I respect that as for a director to go like that far and just try to make whatever he can.
yeah, I mean, like we make our own props for our shows, and like part of the charm with a lot of the movies that we like to watch and that you guys like to watch is like, yeah, that robot is obviously fake, but they only had $5 to make this movie, and by God, they spent their budget on that robot, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's the one scene in the Tim Burton biopic with Ed Wood where he's in the swimming pool with his best friend. He's like, "How do you get all of your friends to get baptized just so you can make a monster movie?"
So
That's
yeah,
my favorite Bill Murray line in it, where he's like, "Will you do this?" And he's like, "Will you?" Whatever they say to him for the baptism, he goes, "Okay," and he just lays back and goes into the water.
Yeah,
It's so great.
Yeah.
but Bill Murray's so great in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, having watched Plan 9 more times than Citizen Kane, I think for every Citizen Kane, you can get what, 3 viewings of Plan 9 in?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I'm just guesstimating on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had only, in the era of, the 70s and early 80s when I was reading about it as a kid, I would always hear worst director ever. And then when I finally saw it, I was like, what's wrong with me? I like this Plan 9 a lot. Like there's so much fun
same
stuff
here.
in it.
Yeah.
I realized, yeah, that's a shower curtain on the plane. And, and why is Criswell in it? And all this stuff. But, Tor Johnson's in it and Vampira's in it. And we wouldn't even get to see Vampire because none of her show really survived if that movie didn't exist. And it's like there's so many cool people in one movie, and the fact that it holds together and we're still talking about it when there's a million other movies made that same year that are forgotten. Like that's why I like Ed Wood. They're fun
Magic comes
movies.
in many forms,
Yeah.
It's not always like something that you paid a lot of money for. Especially it's even more special if you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of like, in a sense, the way like Rob Zombie, I think, is like Rob Zombie has a clear love for like the classic films and classic actors and tries to pull out of in his films.
Mm.
Not always good, but the love is there.
The
Yeah.
reverence.
The reverence, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
always
said,
say like he'd be a great person to watch movies with, but maybe not one of his.
mhm.
But there's some of his that I like. Though it's funny, one of my friends that doesn't watch horror movies said, "I'm going to watch 31," and I was like,
Oh
if you're gonna
no!
pick, if you're gonna
No.
pick one to watch, that's not the one to watch. I got a message back like, "Why didn't you warn me?" I'm like, "I've warned you. I've said enough."
Well, actually, I take that back. My friend put it best. Watch the first 5 minutes, Richard Blake.
Yeah,
Turn the movie off.
he's
The first 5
awesome.
minutes are amazing. Like he is like brilliant. Like wow, this movie's gonna kick ass. It's
He's
just fun.
he's great in everything he is, especially like in his little part in Mandy is amazing.
oh
he's, in,
yeah.
he's in it for like what, a minute or 2 minutes, and he's great the whole time he's in it.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want him to be in a movie that is as good as him. Like that would be awesome for him. Like
That would be
that's what I took away from 31. I was like, man, we did a podcast literally in the parking lot because we saw it at like one of those like Fathom events, and my wife's like, we should just record it in the parking lot, and it's like the maddest I've ever got her on tape. Not at me. Where she's just like, this fucking movie. We spent $20 each to watch this fucking movie, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
yeah.
What can you do?
I bought a buddy of mine. That was a Christmas gift I got for him and his wife. I'm like,
Oh.
hey, here, happy Merry Christmas. They're like, thanks, I guess.
I guess you hate your friends.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a kid and you're like, I remember whenever I would see Malcolm McDowell show up in a movie, I'm like, oh, this is a really high quality movie because Malcolm McDowell's in it, and I'm like, oh, maybe not
No.
now. No.
Yeah.
He was in some movie about killer flies.
Oh boy.
I think Malcolm McDowell was in that one. It was called Isle of the Dead or something, but it was like made in like the no man's land of 1999, 2000, something like that. Some cheap ass thing.
Oh, poor.
I've been trying to find where I can stream Caligula.
There's a new 4K of it coming out pretty
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Oh, is there?
And he said it's the movie. Malcolm McDowell said it's the movie he thought he made. So I'm really excited to see it and see what it's like.
I've not seen it in its entirety, but I've seen enough of it to be like, yes, I'm fully invested and like it deserves a good release.
Yeah. It was one of those movies that they had it at my hometown video store, and that was like the forbidden fruit because it wasn't in the adult section. It was out on the shelf, but it had that handwritten must be 18.
Yeah.
And everybody, I'm sure the things that we heard that were in it were not really in it. You know what I mean? Like it was like crazier than it was.
Well,
Have you seen it?
I know. I've seen it. Yeah.
you'd be surprised.
Yeah. But it was literally like, oh, this movie is it's like
yeah. It was,
people have sex and then explode. You know what I mean? It's like this kind of like,
Mhm.
crazy stuff. And I'm like, I think they were talking about a Pasolini movie or something. They weren't, maybe, I don't know. No one in Elwood City got to see a Pasolini movie.
yeah.
But,
Especially think of Night of the Demons. I remember seeing that as a kid. It had a strict like you must be 18 to rent this. And I'm like, what is this?
yeah.
Yeah.
All of the Wizard video boxes, the big thick boxes of zombie and stuff, all had the must be 18 in my store. And it was like, these were and if you found someone 18 willing to rent it for you, chances are they were probably not someone you should be spending time with. You know what I mean? They were like a bad
My video
kid.
store rented Zombie to me, and I must have been like 15 years old. Yeah.
Oh.
They were cool. That was the video store that was run by the two lesbians, and they would we would talk about horror movies every time I went in there. They'd be like, "Look what we got in this week. You have to see this one."
Nice.
Mine would
Totally.
be like, hey, I'd be looking, I'd be the only person in the store early in the morning. They'd say, hey, you're not allowed to rent that. And I'd be like, what?
I
you're
owe a lot
14.
to them.
And I would say to them all the time, like, what will I learn in the next 4 years that will not allow me to watch, that will like help me to watch Zombie? Like, just let me watch it now. Like, let's get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, your parents can rent it for you. I'm like, my mom's not going to rent Zombie.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, would she? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, probably not. No. Though, Bill, I watched Horror of the Blood Monsters this week. Speaking of movies, and that was, I lost you guys.
Wait, no, you're there.
Oh, what happened? Yeah, I watched Horror of the Blood Monsters this week, finally. I don't know why I've never watched it. And man, anytime John Carradine shows up in a movie, I get super happy. And that movie's ridiculous because they're like,
Aw.
it's all like shot with like filters because they wanted to be in color, so they just put like single colors over it. What a genius idea, man! I love that movie. If a movie's ever been made for me, where it's like everybody making Al Adamson's like, arguably, I know this is a shitty movie, but just watch it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a movie that already existed that he bought.
Yeah.
that Jerry Warren.
It's like
bought.
5 movies that already
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like the bulk of it is like this caveman thing that he bought, and he's like, okay, well, we have to figure out some way to make this a vampire movie. Hence, we got Horror of the Blood Monster.
Yeah, you got Bud Cardos walking around with giant vampire fangs in the first couple of seconds. As soon as that Independent International logo came up, I was like, I'm home. Like, this is where I need to be. Like, that logo. Anyway, Bill, I won't get in the way of I see a poster for the Leopard Man, and it's exciting.
Ooh, all right.
It's yeah, and I Walked with a Zombie.
Oh,
which was pretty. I really like I Walked with a Zombie. I've never seen Leopard Man though.
it's good. It's why Anton LaVey started getting cats, because he was so impressed by that movie. Another bullshit story by Anton LaVey, but just go with it.
Yeah.
And speaking of voodoo,
Ooh.
Midnight Voodoo Party.
Midnight Spook Show.
Awesome.
See ya, voodoo striptease.
Yeah.
Wow.
Voodoo.
Isn't
My
that
eyes went
amazing?
there. I know it might be. I'm going to say it was the graphic design, but that's exactly where my eyes went. That and no children's tickets sold. That says to me, crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, these were both from Phoenix. Or no,
wow.
Tucson. Sorry. This was Tucson, Arizona, both of these ads from December 1943.
Oh wow.
This voodoo spook show thing is something I don't see very often when I'm collecting ads. There are a couple that you see over and over again. This one, I've never seen it until now. It was specifically voodoo themed.
Interesting.
And especially with a voodoo striptease. What could that have been?
I'm just thinking of like Orgy of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of
also,
Ed Wood.
people, Bill, go back for 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
People from the audience, the line on the bottom is like, people from the audience change into invisibility, change places invisibility in full light. What?
Invisibly in full light. Yeah, I don't know what that would.
And also, like, if you come alone, you'll be afraid to go home. Wow. Invisible demons will be on the stage. The Satanic Panic was like 30 years from this ad.
But wait, it's invisible demons on our stage.
This is like a Screaming Jay Hawkins.
I was gonna say this is like a Screaming Jay Hawkins like blueprint.
Yeah, we got to find H.L. Weber and be like, what were you doing? Like, how did you do this? Oh, H.L. Weber's
It actually
Midnight
says
Voodoo.
goose pimples.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Like, I've never seen that written down in earnest before.
There's nowhere
With
that
an
people are always like,
exclamation
I
point.
want to go here on vacation. If I could go anywhere on vacation, it would be to this Midnight Voodoo Party. Like, I want to know what it was about. It's like the drive-in nights, Bill, where like witches would come and you'd like get free donuts if you survived. Those are the things that I want to go to. I agree with Steve. Steve Wilson said, I'm sure the voodoo strip show wasn't at all racist.
Yeah.
No.
I that was the first place my mind went to. I was
Yeah.
like, they probably think just because they're not white ladies doing a striptease that's voodoo striptease.
Were they
I
allowed
don't
to get
know.
naked? It was National Geographic rules. It's for science. Oh, this ad.
Aww.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this movie. I can remember watching it. I only saw it once on TV when I was a kid, and I just was so annoyed by Abbott and Costello in it.
So I can't remember who they were, but there was a comedy duo that was very clearly meant to like mimic Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Oh, it's Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that pair did multiple movies though.
No, Sammy Petrillo and Duke Mitchell. But Duke Mitchell did 2 movies that Grindhouse Releasing put out. Gone with the Pope and Massacre Mafia style. He's the same actor.
That might be what I'm thinking of then. But
Yeah,
I've
I
at
love
least-
that movie, and I'm obsessed by it, especially because Sammy Petrillo ended his career in Pittsburgh working at the Edison Hotel as an MC.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they were sued. The whole reason that the producer took over that film was he figured that Martin Lewis would sue and that he would just get bought out, and it turned into a huge thing because like Sammy Petrillo started like on Jerry Lewis's show as like a kid acting like him, and then at some point he got angry for him because of how close he was and sued him. Duke Mitchell went on to be the singing voice of Fred Flintstone. I know, again, I'm kind of obsessed with that movie. I love that movie to no end. I realize it's bad. It's a 6-day movie, but it's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot that I like about the movie. There's also a lot that annoys me, but I can respect that, especially just given the production history.
I always saw it as like a good entryway for kids like me, especially to love horror because like I loved Abbott and Costello and watched them every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh wow, they're meeting, like they're in a shared universe, which is a big idea when you're a kid.
Oh yeah.
Not entirely.
Of these,
No,
and
that's
then-
so fun.
yeah, and it's like wow, like that's what was cool to me is like I realize now that I'm older, like the old end Universals aren't as good, but as a kid, it's like what if all three of these monsters were in the same movie? Like,
Mhm.
there's also a Mexican remake of this that is 99% the same movie. And there's a Bollywood one too that's the same.
Oh,
They-
I went.
I
Oh,
love Bollywood
yeah, same.
style.
Yeah.
Have you
It's-
seen the Bollywood Evil Dead?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
That is fucking beautiful.
You should get.
I just saw the
Santaki.
Bollywood version of The Entity the other day, and I was odd, but it doesn't have any
Oh.
music in it though, if only.
Ah,
But they literally took the music from The Entity and used it throughout the. It's Poltergeist and The Entity in one movie. It's pretty awesome. Hawa is what it's called. But yeah, I love that movie. And Bill, sorry, I'm super into movies tonight, but I love any teenage crime movies, especially ones where female gangs fuck guys up. Like,
yes, the
Mhm.
Violent Years.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like the violent. Yeah, I love these movies. I did like a whole week on them because it's like I realized when I was a kid that like it was triggering events or imprinting events as a kid when I saw these where I'm like, why is this girl so mean and why am I so excited about it as like a 5-year-old? You know what I mean? And like now I realize, but yeah, anytimes like Mamie Van Doren or Tough Girls were, up against the law. Yeah, that's my shit.
Mhm.
The Japanese loved these movies too.
Oh. Yeah.
And it actually influenced a whole genre of anime that was teen delinquent dramas.
Yeah.
And then it led to one of my all-time favorite animes being made, Cromartie High School, which is a comedy about teen delinquents. And it's very absurdist. So even if you don't necessarily get like the translated jokes, they still do a very good job of like making the jokes work. I would highly recommend it if you like stuff like this.
Okay. Awesome.
Tarantula.
I'm in the giant insect era on the page right
Oh,
now in the 50s from the Arizona area, Tucson and Phoenix. And I found this ad for Tarantula, which was one of my favorite movies. And for some reason, they showed this a lot on TV when I was a kid, and I made sure to watch it every time I could. Even though, I mean, I was never convinced as I wanted to be by the special effects.
Yeah.
I do love Tarantula, though.
What was that movie, Sam, we were watching with the killer rabbits?
Oh, Night of the Lepus.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Janet Leigh.
Yeah. The forest perspective. They're really actually giants. It's like,
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, too. Those special effects are only slightly less convincing than the special effects in Tarantula. From eons ago. Here's one, though, where the special effects are actually pretty good. Them.
That ad's great.
Oh, I know. I love them. We just watched it on TV I forget what station had it on the other day, but it's actually like pretty scary. I mean, clearly it's not up to today's standards, the monster effects in it, but I thought it was pretty good, especially at the end where they find the nest and you see the queen ants that have the wings. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty well done. Here's another variation.
I like that one.
That is cool.
Although I think the reason why I like that picture better is because it vaguely reminds me of the format of Weekly World News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I see it now.
Wow.
I always remember the part where the little girl starts screaming in the movie, them. She was Newt before there was a Newt in Aliens. Aliens has a lot of them in it.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Let's see here. I did have something other than them. Something came after them. What was it? No, I guess them was the end. All right.
Them's it.
Them's that way.
Sam,
Wanna
what'd
see
you
what
get in
came-
the mail?
You want to see what came in the mail? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. A whole bunch of cool stuff this week.
All right.
First off, I was super excited about this. This is the new Blu-ray of Tombs of the Blind Dead, which Synapse is putting out.
Nice.
Yeah. So that just came out. Super excited. Bunch of stuff came
Ooh.
out. Arrow this week, which are, not the exciting covers, but these Witness is coming out from them, The Iron Fisted Monk, and Desperate Hours. This is from Wild Eye. It's a movie called Caddy Hack, which is about speaking of giant animals, giant gophers on a golf course.
Wait. Holy shit.
It had to be the movie that had to be made.
The tagline is "Welcome to a whole new world of terror," and "hole" spelled like a golf hole, HOLE. Yeah. Pretty excited. It has a rap video on it too,
That's awesome.
and a karaoke thing as well, and a drinking game as part of the Blu-ray. So I'm very excited to watch that. This is the new Visual Vengeance: Vampires and Other Stereotypes, which is coming out. Very
Like gargoyles to me.
Yeah, and then finally, get ready to order this. This comes out next month. It is Lichen Colony.
Lichen Colony. Oh, have you seen before?
We did the commentary on it. Yeah, we love it.
Heck yeah.
Oh my! I need to listen to your commentary.
Yeah, look at the art. Does this artwork not make this movie look way better than it is?
That is pretty.
That art on that cover is so good that it actually is making me mad because I have seen the movie before.
Yeah. It comes with an awesome Lichen Colony air freshener. A book that I was very excited to write the liner notes about the movie. I realized in the liner notes I really made fun of the movie for a lot. And let's see, stickers that you can put on to make your video look like it came from a store. Two-sided art, and you get a poster of that cool art. Oh,
ooh,
yeah. So pretty exciting. The bar scene at Lichen Colony it's on Tubi if you want to see it. This comes out next month from Visual Vengeance. Bill and I were super excited to do it. It's a really fucking weird movie, but I love it. So, I'm glad you guys have seen it.
Yes, it's one of those movies where like the more you watch it, the more little things you notice.
Like that a monkey shows up for no reason by the end of it.
Yep.
Or the graphic tattoo that moves.
Oh yeah, we love that.
It's
It's the wave of the future.
The last thing I'll show you, Becca gave me this before she fell asleep to show you. I showed these guys earlier. This is the new Halloween art book from Printed in Blood. They're also putting out a new version of the original book that's going to be illustrated. But if you love Halloween, and you guys know how much my wife does, this book is filled with Halloween artwork, and it's pretty awesome.
How cool.
Yeah. So don't forget, Replicator's also out. The Bill and I did for Visual Vengeance.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yes,
have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've seen Replicator, and we are fans.
It's something else. Yeah. And then we just recorded another one that is pretty wild too. So we're very excited about that.
Cool.
Maybe I can't say. We can't say. That's the thing I hate because we've done like so many, and I'm like, I wish I could talk about the crazy ones that we've done.
You do this to me all the time. I'm like, he's
I
gonna
know.
say it. I know he's gonna say it.
Nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna try real hard next week not to do it when Brett's on. So yeah. But yeah, Brett. I love that Brett made Replicator. Like he's the sweetest guy in the world. I said to him, like, do you think anyone's gonna be like upset today when they see Replicator? He goes, maybe, but it's meant in good fun. I'm like, okay, cool.
There's nothing malicious.
No,
I'll say that.
I honestly didn't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Yeah.
and even if people wanted to read into it uncharitably, it's
Yeah.
so goddamn goofy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
How
It's like,
can you
how
be
take
mad
that
at it?
serious?
He's like, he asked me, he's like, do you think people that love the military will think it's mean to the military? And I'm like, that's not the first thing that I thought of when I was thinking about this movie, Brett.
Wait. Did he ask that sincerely?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's the most sincere person ever. And he's like, cause
What a baby doll.
Yeah. And he's like, it's kind of like Dr. Strangelove, and that's how I intended it. And I know the writer was in the army for a bit, and I respect our armed forces, even if I don't agree with what they do. But I don't want people to think that. And I was like, I love you so much, Brett. Yeah. I was so worried to talk to him the first time we talked because I'm obsessed with the, with his first film, and the Abomination, and because of how weird it is.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, surely a lunatic made this movie. And no, he's so nice. And it's like, where did this come from? Especially like that movie is. I asked him, I'm like, what was it like to make it? He's like, it smelled like shit. It was the grossest set to ever be on. It was so gross. You guys will see next week. He's super nice and very forthcoming about everything and open to talking about stuff. But yeah, he loves the movie we're showing next week, Daughter of Darkness. And he told a really great story about having an Andy Milligan poster in his bedroom, and his grandmother came in and started crying when she saw it. And she was like, anyone that has this is going to turn out horrible. And he's like, I guess I turned out okay. He's like, I'm like 67 and I made it. I was like, yeah. For Bloodthirsty Butchers. He bought it at a convention in Dallas when he was 10. And he had never seen the movie, but he just liked the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, David, he's from very close to you. He is from Bill and I just looked up the name of the town that he's from. It's very small. Especially where the Abomination was shot. He said literally you could shoot for 6 or 7 hours without a single car coming by. He said we were kind of really left our own devices for this movie. So yeah. Thanks guys for looking through the stuff I got. I'm excited to it'll be reviews hopefully on the site this week. I just got through like 3 film fests, so I'm like trying to catch up. I'm way behind. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. This week also still doing 3 film challenges and doing all the movies that came from Chiller Theater. So Till Death, Terrified, Terror is a Man, which Bill knows I love, Night of the Sorcerers, All Monsters Attack, the only Godzilla movie I hadn't written about. I hated it when I was a kid. Now that I'm grown up, I really like it. And then the Gorilla Gang's up on the site tomorrow. Man, that movie's wild. And then another movie that I discovered this week that I'd never seen, Mondo Candido, the last movie made by the Mondo Cane directors. It's Candide, the famous novel, but by those guys. It's like they went and saw a Ken Russell movie and said, we can do this. They couldn't. It's great. It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. It's fucking nuts. And the budget is huge. But it's like they saw, like I think they saw that, and they saw El Topo and maybe like a couple other art movies, and we're like, let's stop doing Mondos, and because they made Goodbye Uncle Tom, and people wanted to murder them. So they're like, we got to do something else. We can't make another movie. They shouldn't have made that movie in the first place, but they did. They had already made it. What was next? It's the last movie they ever made together because they couldn't stop fighting. I wrote 5,000 words about it. Went really deep into it. That's what I watched at 5 a.m. last Saturday after this show. So I'm super jazzed about it. But anyways, I'm going to shut up now. I talked way too much this week. I was too excited. I had a whole week of wanting to talk about movies. So.
No, we We have found our people.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm so glad you guys were on.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you. It's
we
been a
loved
great
being
pleasure being
here.
on here.
Yeah.
What's
and-
next for the Stolen Stitches?
Yeah.
Next week.
Next weekend we're doing we'll be at the Resurrection Island Tattoo Convention in Wheeling. We're doing Friday and Saturday morning. Saturday night I'll be at the Allentown Night Market.
The following week, we're taking a break. But at the very end of October, on the 28th, we will not be in Pittsburgh. We will be in Chicago.
Oh,
We are going to be featured guest at Sideshow Gelato in Chicago. So I don't know if anybody who watches this is from that area, but feel free to stop by and say hi to us.
We have 3 shows that night, Halloween weekend.
Back to back to back.
wow.
Mm-hmm. And we are going to have 2 gelato flavors named after us.
Oh, wow.
It is the world's only circus sideshow themed gelato shop.
Wow.
Very cool spot. They just had Penn and Teller actually just perform there this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Penn and Teller play at one of the theaters downtown when I was a kid, and they took the entire audience to Permanis after, which was crazy. And like they said, who wants to go? Because we were in the lobby talking to them. They said, who wants to go eat? And literally we walked down to Permanis with them and they bought us sandwiches. I was like,
awesome.
Class
I was like
act.
13 years old. Can you imagine how jazzed up I was?
God.
I was
Wow.
Damn.
Penn Jillette was literally my role model as a kid. 'Cause I'm like, somebody fat and that talks a lot made it. And if he can do it, I can do it. And that was my dream.
That shit's important.
Yeah.
Penn Jillette's the only celebrity I ever spotted in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been in New York. I've only been there twice. But he was eating dinner in a restaurant like where they had tables on the sidewalk. And we walked by and I was like, oh, hey, that's Penn Jillette. That's it. My claim to fame.
That's a good celebrity to meet. That's somebody that, like, I want to meet. Like, well, I can't think of many modern celebrities that I'd want to be like. That, like, I'd like to meet that person. It's all people dead. Like John Carradine, yes, 100%. I want to talk to him, but not a lot of other people.
Don't forget, this month is the horror. What's Dustin's Halloween Horrors series
Halloween Horrors,
on Horror and Sons, horrorandsons.com. And I know you have something coming up on there. Has it run yet? I don't think so.
No, it's coming up. It's a movie called Laitan, which is a French, I don't know what it is, zombie religious allegory about snakes that have soul. I don't know. It's fucking weird. If you like Valerie and her Week of Wonders, and you're like, could you make a weirder version that makes less sense? Yeah, that makes less sense. Then these French guys were like, we can do it, and they did it, and yeah. And I know you have something coming up too, Bill, for it, right?
I wrote about Dawn of the Mummy.
Yes,
which we've done on the show here before, so everybody knows how much I love Dawn of the Mummy. But that was my contribution for this season.
I'm also doing the podcast Unsung Horrors has a month of Horror Gives Back. So for every movie that you write about, you donate to Best Friends Animal Charity, which is the U.S.'s largest non-kill shelter, and is trying to make all shelters non-kill across the U.S. So I'll be donating for all the movies I wrote about, and trying to find their goal for every movie on their podcast is less than 1,000 views on Letterboxd for any movie that goes on their site. So trying to find those. And it's actually been fun doing these challenges, because trying to find stuff. Like, I had never seen Sunset Boulevard, not that fits into the unsung ones. That's for another one. But I'd never seen Sunset Boulevard, and I was like, holy shit, this movie is so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I watched Imitation of Life too, which I'd never seen. And wow.
Oh, which one?
The Douglas Sirk one.
Oh my God, it's fucking amazing, isn't it?
Because the challenge was find a movie where someone dies for a long time, and the one mother dies for the whole movie in it. Right? So I wrote a whole thing about. I really realized that was my grandmother's favorite movie. It'll be on the site this week, and like, I literally know why my grandmother loved that movie, because that movie is totally her. Like the drama of it, like the insanity of it, like it's so her. But yeah, Bill, I love that movie. Like, I was crying at the end of it when she throws herself on the coffin. It's like, I killed my mother.
She's like, that's my mother.
That's my
Sarah
mother.
Jane.
Dude, the scene where her mother tells her roommate that she's her maid.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
That
It's
broke
so,
my heart when I saw.
oh, it's so good. I realize how maudlin it is, right?
It's
And how
really
ridiculous.
maudlin. It's like so
Yeah.
over the top, but there's
Also,
no.
Lana Turner's daughter stabbed her boyfriend while it was being made. What a fuck Hollywood today. I mean, it's my dream time of making Hollywood movies. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. I also
love
wrote
Juanita
a
Moore.
lot about
She's
the
in
movie.
Abby also.
Oh, she is. Yeah.
She is.
I wrote a lot about the movie Incubus. So a lot of I movies.
Oh.
Sick.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like the movie that has Tara Reid in it?
No, the one it's all in Esperanto, the William Shatner movie.
I was gonna say, yeah.
What's the Tara Reid one? Because now I'm interested.
So I haven't seen it in a long time, but it used to be the movie that I would point to defend Tara Reid for actually being able to act.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to watch it now.
Like I said, I probably haven't watched that in, I want to say maybe 8 or 10 years. So my opinion might be very, very different now. But when I first watched it, it's like a subpar horror film. It's not the greatest, but she's sort of the highlight of it. So like anytime people would shit on her or say that she is a bad actress, I would tell them to watch that movie.
I've said it before a million times. If it was the 60s, she would be one of those actresses that Carol Baker did, went to Italy and was in Giallo. Because she's a blonde American actress, and she would totally be over there being in them, and I would love everyone that she was in. Umberto Lenzi would be like, yes, come over, Tara Reid. We kill you. We come over. I feel the same way about movies like I Know Who Killed Me, which I non-ironically love that movie because it's ridiculous. And who knew it would be that good? My wife said to me, "You're going to love this." And I was like, no, there's no way. And like 5 minutes into it, I was like, yeah.
Pamela, Lichen Colony is so obscure. I can't even believe that Hot Toddy and Danger Dave have seen it. What made you see Lichen Colony?
So it was recommended by somebody else who I watch on YouTube. I'm not going to say the name of the channel because people should really only be watching Groovy Doom. Why are you on any other channel?
What are you doing?
Don't ignore it. And then I ended up seeking it out myself. It's bananas. It's like I am not a furry myself, but being part of like the performance scene, you tend to run into a few of them. So like the same soft spot that I have in my heart for like my friends are, even though I'm not part of it, is the same part of me that's like, okay, I see what you're doing. Good for you. I'm glad you got your movie made. It's like it's a what I would call like a I'm going to hang this up on my fridge movie.
The director's name is Rob Roy that made it, and he was so obsessed with this is true, so obsessed with the movie Balto that he broke into Kevin Bacon's property to meet Kevin Bacon.
Oh my!
And he is always identified with wolves. He has a couple book sequels to it as well. Bill and I went so deep into this movie in our research that we found that it debuted at a restaurant that has a movie theater in it, and we talk about the menu from the restaurant during the thing. And my favorite one is Postapocalypse. Is one of the things. Everything in the restaurant is named for food, and there's some of the best names ever. Yeah, there's some real deep. This is because
we need to have a side conversation about this because I need to go to that restaurant.
It's still open. This is what I love because like Bill and I always joke. It's like other people get to do commentary on Messiah of Evil and like really big movies, and Bill and I get like, hey, here's a movie that costs $396. And nobody has ever talked about it, and go for it. And I love that. Like, I'd rather do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is why we're so happy we were on the show. Like, I'm the kind of person who will go out of my way to do like entire choreography to be an inside joke to one person coming to my show. Like, I will do deep dive shit like that. It's great. But
what song did Coma White say that she did one of her dances to when she was on? There was like a super deep horror movie cut that she did, And it was like, what? Like, and she's like, yeah, it's just for me. I don't care. Like if people have seen that movie or not. It was pretty awesome. I'm so excited you guys were on. This was so much fun.
Yeah,
to
it was
talk.
a great time.
was.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And to everybody in the chat, as always,
Mhm.
thanks for being here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for hanging out.
it's pretty late. We still got 14 people. So
Damn.
That's
All right.
that was like a good week for us back when we started. We're like, wow, 14 people watched this. Now it's like 3 a.m, 14 people.
Oh, it just went up to 15.
Hello, newcomers.
Hi, Mom.
People.
Yeah. It's not my mom. My mom went to bed a while ago. She's like,
I was gonna say Oscar's been asleep for like 3 hours now.
Yeah.
maybe he's on. He figured out how to get
Yeah, he's like
he's-
on his phone.
Kids learn fast.
Yeah.
Like we try to keep it away from him, but
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So I hope all of you will come back next weekend when our special guest will be Brett McCormick, and we'll be talking
Yes.
about all sorts of crazy shit. Replicator, The Abomination, Tabloid, Ozone, Attack of the Mutant Redneck Zombies.
There a lot of Brett's movies have shown up on Tubi as well. So if you want to see some of his other, especially his later ones that he did for Roger Corman and stuff, there's a bunch of those that have just gone up. So I'm super excited to talk to him about all of those movies.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And it'll be a late show. It's only going to be one movie, and we're watching Daughter of Horror, aka Dementia. You'll be glad it's only about an hour long, so we're not going to take up much
He
of your
said it,
time.
he's like, it's not good, but I love it. And I said, you know what? Those are the best ones. I want to know why you love it. You know,
Yeah.
like I want to hear why you're passionate about it. And he said, Bill, in the interview, something that really is why I know you like him. He said, I would watch these movies that were really slow and the monster only showed up in the last 5 minutes. And I grew to love those movies and the pacing of them. I'm like, well, you need to tell Bill that because that is 100% Bill's. That's what Bill loves. He goes, yeah, Chiller Theater or like 50s horror movies that aired on UHF are the best because that's all they were. Like the monster would look shitty and I was like, fine. Like it's, you know. Thanks, Tim. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, we have the best people that come and hang out with us. Thank you
I was
all
thinking
so
about
much.
that the other day. Like I love everybody that comes on here and says stuff.
Yeah.
Even whenever you don't like a movie and we argue about it a little bit. I think that's awesome. I think that's what movies are all about.
light
So glad-
antagonism makes the show go by a lot easier.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm so used to
course.
being a heel from wrestling. So like it's part of my DNA, I think, to be like, I need to piss people off on some level. And then but it's done in love, you know, like I think that's what I love.
Good natured ribbings.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So have a great week. Thanks again, Stolen Stitches, Hot
Thanks for
Toddy,
having
Stinky
us.
Cat. And see you next time.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.